is the president of the African country Malawi. Dr. Lazarus Chakwera was sworn into office on June 28, 2020. China-Malawi established diplomatic relations in 2007. Over the past 16 years, China-Malawi have witnessed fast and sound development with fruitful cooperation in various fields. President Chakwera, thank you for joining CGTN's interview.
It's a great honor.
Welcome to China, welcome to Changsha. I understand you are here to take part in the 3rd China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo, and I can see as one of the guest of honor countries, Malawi has an independent booth. Have you visited the booth, and what's your general impression of the whole expo?
Yes, I have. I visited the Malawi booth, and they've done a fantastic job. In fact, when I was speaking in my opening statement, I said, I hope everyone will have a chance and visit Malawi booth and appreciate what we have to offer.
Right. What's your expectations of the expo? What is Malawi expected to get out of this expo?
For us, this is a platform where we can market Malawi, its products, its people, and we trust that the issues of trade are issues that give one a hand up, not a handout. And we are trusting that Malawi can then boost its ability to trade and export the treasures that are there in Malawi. And we can do that not just with China, but with all others who are here, also have their booths here, selling their whatever they have, but we could also buy from them just like they could buy from us. Because we feel that trading amongst ourselves is the best way of boosting each other's prosperity in the nations that we happen to be.
Changsha is a bit different from those gateway cities like Beijing, and Shanghai, or Guangzhou, and probably most foreign people would visit on their first stop as gateway cities, mega cities with tens of millions of people. Changsha in China is a second-tier city, but also with a quite a big economy.
Right.
What's your impression of Changsha so far? Because you attended the inauguration ceremony for your general council here.
Yeah, you know, this is a great city, and for you it may be a second tier, it may be whatever, but for us, even when we're talking about secondary cities and making sure that urbanization in Malawi becomes so organized as pillar number 2 of our 2063 vision, we can see how that we can borrow relief from here. You can't compare Beijing, you can't compare some of the largest cities you have here. Malawi is a beautifully situated, not even Hunan Province would be too big for Malawi, you know, in terms of size. But we can develop the cities there to meet the people's needs and be able to still be developed as China is within our context. This is the first time as president.
Okay.
The first time I came to China, I came with athletes for the 2008 Olympics.
In Beijing.
I was chair of Sports Council.
Wow.
And so now the 4th time I come as president, and I am so honored that I was given this privilege to be at this China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo.
I'm honored to be here speaking with you too, because I also reported the 2008 Olympics.
Is that right?
Yeah, in Beijing, yeah. As a young reporter, yes, I was also thrilled by the experience, welcoming so many international guests.
Well, in fact, even when I look at just this space of time, 15 years, I can see that every time I come, I see that China has gotten to another level.
President Chakwera, you attended the inauguration ceremony of your General Council in Changsha, being the first African country to do so in the city of Changsha. Do you think such a move will boost bilateral relations and also trade?
This is a great honor. In fact, when you have this kind of exchange of people to people, nation to nation, industry to industry, this enriches not just people's experiences, it enriches their well-being to such an extent that when you say we are prospering, it is whole-rounded prosperity and not just one single thing. And so for us to have these type of relations is a great blessing, because we feel that as humanity, when people are able to interact together and able to share experiences, they learn to trust one another, they learn to love one another, they learn to respect one another. They appreciate that we may be different, but actually there's more that binds us than that which separates us.
Mr. President, you just mentioned trade. Let's talk about trade, because I have data here. In year 2021, China-Malawi trade almost reached $300 million with a growth rate of 25%. And I can see that probably last year, 2022, the figure could be higher. What's your comment on the fast growth of bilateral trade between China and Malawi?
In fact, our goal would be to have it doubled and tripled and quadrupled and so forth, and that the balance also would be there, where we would export more, just as China exports into Malawi, we can export into China. And there's been protocols already signed, and some of them already being effected. So we believe that the future prospects are much more encouraging.
And Your Excellency, as I understand it, in December 2022, that's last year, a few months ago,
right,
China started this zero tariff policy to 98%
right.
of all Malawian products selling in China. How would this policy boost your products selling to China?
Actually, this will greatly encourage our people to produce and produce and produce more. In fact, as we add value to what we produce, we will be able then to benefit from this kind of arrangement. This is one of the protocols I refer to as being a boost, a shot in the arm, to say you can produce more, and we have problems with foreign exchange. It's not going to be a problem anymore if we produce, add value, and export.
Would you elaborate more on what kind of products are you selling in China, or you expect to sell more in China?
We're selling some. We're selling tobacco, we're selling soybeans, and groundnuts. We'll be able to sell more because Malawi, as an agricultural country, produces lots of stuff. And so these would be some things we can start from and expect that as we tell farmers to mechanize, produce more consistently and of top quality, then we'll be able to have them assured that whatever they produce, when we add value to it, it's going to benefit them. So we'll have a win-win situation, because what we can get from China, for example, in terms of machinery for more production and mechanization of our agriculture, then what we produce and add value to as we industrialize will also give us more income when we export the same to China.
To increase the capacity of your production.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and filling the huge demand in the Chinese market.
Yeah.
Yes. Because when people talk about trade, they focus a lot on the trade volume, because when the volume is significant,
that's right,
it can only be significant to make sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me and for us, it's not just the volume, the quality as well. So we must pass standards. And we have in Southern Africa one of the best bureaus for standardization.
Okay. Talk about trade. Transportation is vital too. As I understand it, Malawi is a landlocked country surrounded by other countries. And how are you going to solve this problem, bring Malawi from landlocked to land-linked?
Actually, you just used a term that I love to use. We are land-linked. And with Mozambique, Tanzania, and Zambia bordering us, we want to make sure that we have a system of transportation like rail and road and air that, as well as using the water. As you know, Lake Malawi runs pretty much 3/4 of the country. And so if we can maximize the usage of that, we can bring in goods and services, and we can send out goods and services, including people, at much lower rates than sometimes we currently. So we are involved in rehabilitating rail and building a rail that runs across the country. And so we link up with Mozambique because on the eastern coast, from Nacala, we have a dry port in Malawi with a rail that runs even through Malawi into Mozambique. So you have a rail system from Mozambique through Malawi to Mozambique and to the sea. And we are linking up with all of that. And so across Malawi, it's almost like a cross. Now we want to go with rail from the central part of Malawi to the north, because we have one going to the west to link up with Zambia, and then to the east through Mozambique. So we want to link up with the line from Dar es Salaam that passes to the north of us. So when we talk about how Zambia, Angola, and then Mozambique, or Zambia, DRC, us, Tanzania, and or Mozambique, you can go from the Indian Ocean all the way to the Atlantic in Southern Africa with that kind of system. And then from Tanzania, you can go all the way to Cape Town. But of course, we want Cape to Cairo, and then all the way to Dakar, all the way to Ghana, a system that makes it easy for us with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to transport goods and services across the continent.
From the 1,035-kilometer railway linking China to Laos, facilitating connectivity and boosting economic growth in the landlocked Southeast Asian country, to the joint China-Saudi Arabia photovoltaic project to harness renewable energy in the oil-dependent kingdom. The Belt and Road Initiative has come a long way since it was first proposed in 2013, complementing the development strategies of partner countries and building on their existing strength.
开创合作共赢的新模式。
The Belt and Road Initiative, linking the world in the pursuit of common prosperity for humanity.
China has been promoting the Belt and Road Initiative jointly with other countries, and infrastructure has been one of the areas that top China-Malawi cooperation list. That brings us to the next topic of the Belt and Road infrastructure. I don't know if you've noticed that next to the Malawi booth is a huge booth demonstrating the 10-year anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative, demonstrating a lot of projects in Africa. I mean, Malawi is also one of the countries that taken part in the Belt and Road Initiative. What's your take on that initiative marking the 10-year anniversary?
Well, congratulations. Marking 10 years is no joke. It means that the journey that got started, is gaining momentum. And BRI, as far as Malawi is concerned, is again another platform that helps us build the infrastructure that's needed for us to really reach our goal. We want to be an inclusively wealthy, industrialized, self-reliant country. And BRI is like the kind of catalyst
Yeah.
that
Catalyst.
gets us, yes, that gets us to achieve our goal.
Right. Then I think many of the projects, the big plans you mentioned, would fall into the grand Malawi Vision 2063.
That's right.
Tell us about that vision. Why 2063? What's the calculation? And what are the major achievements you're trying to achieve?
Two things. 2063, you know, from the day we had self-governing
Self-governance.
status from the British, 1963, and then we became independent in 1964. So 100 years.
Ah, to mark 100 years.
That's right. Second of all, Africa has a dream, a vision, an agenda, and we call it 2063.
Oh.
And so ours is a microcosm of the big dream of the Africa we want. And we want to be part of that so that we are able to take from the Union and domesticate it for us with steps that lead toward that. And so we do want to be an inclusively wealthy, self-reliant, industrialized nation, just like Africa wants. But we want to do it by 2063. However, we realize that we have to take deliberate steps toward that. So we have a 10-year implementation plan, we have a 3-year implementation plan, and we then have a yearly plan to make sure that we are not only responding to the SDGs, we are also doing it for our sake, not just to satisfy someone's plan, but it becomes our plan. And then we say, let's do it.
Okay.
So that's the vision.
Great to know that. Also on your booth, I saw
I'm so glad.
a wide variety of agricultural products. I see beautiful pictures of Lake Malawi. Tell us about the beautiful lake. And I understand that tourism is also a very important part of
That's
Malawi. Lake Malawi might be famous in Africa, but not very known to Chinese people. Tell us about tourism plan. Maybe you would be interested to bring more Chinese tourists there?
Yes, in fact, I'm glad that you visited our booth. Some of the things that we are putting emphasis on in terms of agriculture, in terms of tourism and mining, you will notice the booth covers some of that.
Yeah.
So I call that an ATM strategy. But in terms of tourism, Malawi, even CNN sometimes will say that of the top 10 places to visit in Africa, 2 of them will be in Malawi.
Wow.
They will talk about the Nyika Plateau up north.
Yeah.
They will talk about the lake.
The country Malawi is nicknamed the warm heart of Africa for its warm temperatures and beautiful scenery, and also for the warm hearts of its people. Lake Malawi is the 3rd largest lake in Africa and one of the deepest lakes in the world, making it top attractions for its unrivaled scenery.
This lake, the 3rd largest in Africa, 8th in the world, is home to some tropical fish you can never find anywhere else on planet Earth. Freshwater lake that is a great blessing to the people of Malawi. And it's on the Great Rift Valley toward the southern end of it. And so we believe that Chinese folks need to know more and more about this so that they can come. Our strategy is to build more infrastructure toward our tourism places, and then make sure that we can challenge Chinese investors to come and put up hotels, chalets, and the kind of infrastructure that will give them dividends, because more and more people are coming and more people will be coming. And if we are attracting people from as far as China is concerned, we want to also make sure that friends like those would not need to pay visas when they do come.
Oh, visa-free policy on the horizon.
So we have embarked on a deliberate plan to make sure that we market Malawi as a tourist destination. That's just one of two things that I can mention.
When can we expect a visa-free policy?
All right, we can give it to you. Come next time.
Okay.
And then bring your TV where you could shoot places, so you don't just see them at the booth, as you know, do it live.
We'd love to.
We'll be able to take you to some game preserves where you see the Big Five, and you can go places that you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, we'll be interested, because Chinese people really appreciate natural beauty.
That's right.
Untouched, beautiful
and
places.
We would want, and we're talking about this, we would want flights from China into Malawi.
Direct flights.
Yeah.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
The United Nations adopted the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015 as a universal call for sustainable development. In Malawi, hydropower currently serves as a main source of energy, but the country is investing in energy sector beyond it. Alternative sources, including solar and thermal, are all tapped into with the aim to avoid or minimize environmental degradation. This expo demonstrates, of course, traditional products, commodities, agricultural products, cultural products, machinery equipment, like those bulldozers, lifters, cranes, but also for a special area, they also demonstrate future technologies, artificial intelligence, ESG, sustainable development, digital and green development. As a developing country, how would you consider these elements during your developing process?
I think it's critical for us to understand that not only should we work hard, we must work smart. And one of the things that we are emulating China is the ability to use intelligence, to use innovation, creativity, at the same time respect, you know, the natural habitat we have. That's the only one we have. And so climate change issues must be taken seriously. Malawi has just come out of a devastating Cyclone Freddy that killed over 1,000 people, displaced over 500,000 people, and put over 2 million people in dire need of food because whole fields were wiped away, whole villages were wiped away. And so for us, climate change issues are real. It's not something you just hear about or see happen someplace. And so we want to be able to build strong, to build, you know, resilient communities, but to be green as it were. And so we want to develop a green Malawi. And so we must use the intelligence we have in order for us to make the place we stay at a better place, not just for us, but for generations to come. So let's not destroy the earth while we develop.
What do you think developing country can play in achieving your own growth? You just mentioned you need to focus on your own growth and also cooperate within developing countries to achieve fairer and equitable global governance?
Well, I think you just stated it there. In terms of a fair world, in terms of us prospering together, you know, when nations prosper together, then nations can trust each other more. Because when you have disparities, and we see that in our own nations, when the gap is so big, you know, nobody's happy. But we can all be happy in terms of how we are able to share prosperity, and there will always be differences, but the basics must be met. And so for us as a nation, we feel like we must have inclusive wealth. We must have inclusive growth. We must not leave anyone behind. And it pains me every time when you see certain groups not being able to make it. And we say, what can we do to deliberately have them included? And I believe on a larger scale, nations must also think likewise, that how can we help other nations get to where other nations have gotten? How can we work together? Because like the United Nations says, let's not leave anyone behind. And so this is how we feel that as common humanity, we must work toward uplifting each other and one another.
I have to say, what you said just gives me chills, because it totally echoes Chinese government's idea of common prosperity and also development for mankind in a shared future. It's very similar ideas.
That's right.
Yeah. And we haven't touched on this topic yet. So in the future time, in your tenure, how would you see the cooperation of China and Malawi go? Cooperation in every aspect. We just mentioned trade and investment.
Yeah, we just mentioned trade, and investment, correct. I think, again, this people-to-people exchange, we would see more of that kind of interaction and more of building humanity and understanding that says we have a common future, let's share it so everyone has hope to look forward to it, not fear.
So I would personally look forward to visa-free policies coming soon in the future. I would look forward to direct flight from China.
I'm sure by the time you decide to come, we will have gazetted that you come without having to pay any visa. And then you can come with lots and lots of other tourists and investors.
That would be great. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Maintaining and developing China-Malawi relations is in the fundamental interest for both countries. As China-Malawi relations embark on a new journey with the Belt and Road Initiative, cooperation will create new opportunities for the two countries, even for Africa and the whole world at large, and will surely benefit the peoples of China, Malawi, and the world.